The night was unusually cold for early autumn in North Carolina. A soft mist floated over the quiet fields, settling along Highway 74 like a thin blanket. At 10:45 p.m., most cars had already disappeared from the road, leaving long stretches of empty asphalt under flickering streetlights.
Evan Carter, a 28-year-old paramedic, was driving home after a 12-hour shift. His eyes were heavy, but his mind was still sharp from the night's emergencies. Heart attacks, panic calls, minor crashes. He turned up the radio, hoping the music would keep him awake. His house was only 15 minutes away, and he couldn't wait to collapse into his bed. A few miles ahead, a silver pickup truck driven by Mark Dalton, a 45-year-old construction worker, swerved slightly as it moved down the highway. Mark wasn't drunk, but he was angry and stressed. He had just lost his job, and the argument with his boss kept replaying in his mind. He barely noticed how fast he was driving. At 10:52 p.m., the calm night shattered. As Mark reached a curve near the old Sycamore Bridge, his phone vibrated. Without thinking, he glanced down at the screen. That single second was all it took. The truck drifted into the opposite lane. At that exact moment, a family car, a blue minivan carrying the Thompson family, was approaching from the other direction. Inside were Lucas Thompson, his wife Emily, and their 7-year-old daughter Chloe. They were returning from a birthday dinner. Chloe was asleep in the back seat, her head resting against the window. Lucas saw the headlights coming straight at him, but too late. He slammed the brakes and pulled the steering wheel sharply, but the impact was unavoidable. The crash echoed through the valley like a thunderclap. Metal twisted, glass exploded, and the minivan spun twice before landing against the guardrail. The pickup flipped onto its side, skidding across the highway. Evan, still a minute away, felt his heart stop when he saw the bright flash ahead. His training kicked in instantly. He pulled over, grabbed the emergency kit from his trunk, and sprinted toward the wreck. The scene was chaos. Smoke curling into the air, the smell of gasoline, the sound of someone crying. "Is anyone conscious?" Evan shouted as he approached the minivan. Lucas, bleeding from his forehead, tried to speak. My daughter. Please help her." Evan quickly checked Emily, who was barely conscious but breathing. Then he climbed into the back seat. Chloe was still unconscious, her seatbelt tight, but her breathing faint. "Stay with me, sweetheart," Evan whispered, lifting her gently. He carried her to the side of the road and began CPR. Every second felt like an hour. His breath came fast, his hands shaking, but he forced himself to stay steady. Sirens pierced the night as firefighters and additional paramedics rushed in. Within minutes, the highway was filled with flashing red and blue lights. A firefighter approached the pickup. Mark Dalton was alive, but trapped. His voice trembled. "I didn't mean to. I just looked down for a second." The guilt in his words was heavier than the crushed metal around him. Back at the minivan, Chloe finally took a weak breath. Evan felt relief wash over him. "That's it. Keep breathing. Stay with us." She was immediately loaded into the ambulance along with her mother. Lucas, fighting tears, gripped Evan's arm. Thank you for saving her." Evan nodded, but his chest felt tight. He knew this wasn't over. Hours later, at the hospital, the doctors worked tirelessly. Emily suffered broken ribs but would recover. Chloe had a concussion and required monitoring, but she was stable. Lucas had minor injuries. Mark Dalton, however, was not as lucky. His internal injuries were severe. Before surgery, he kept repeating the same words. "It was my fault. I'm so sorry." The police later confirmed it. Distracted driving. A single moment of looking at his phone had nearly destroyed an entire family.
The accident made the local news the next morning. The headline read, 3 injured, 1 critical in late-night collision on Highway 74. Community members sent messages of support for the Thompson family. People prayed for Chloe's recovery. The incident sparked conversations about road safety, reminding everyone how fragile life is. Evan visited the hospital that afternoon. When he walked into Chloe's room, she opened her eyes and smiled weakly.
"You're the man who helped me," she said softly. Evan smiled back. "You're a brave little girl. You're going to be okay." Emily held her daughter's hand, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for stopping. If you weren't there—" "You don't have to thank me," Evan replied. "Anyone would have done the same." But deep inside, he knew not everyone would. He walked out of the room, feeling the weight of the night slowly lifting. Accidents happen every day in the USA, some caused by speeding, others by carelessness, and too many by distracted driving. But behind every statistic is a human story, a family, a life changed forever.
On Highway 74, the skid marks remained for weeks. Every time drivers passed the spot, they slowed down a little, remembering the danger of one small mistake. And somewhere in North Carolina, Evan slept a little easier knowing he had saved a life that night, but also carried the painful reminder of how quickly life can break.